Hello and welcome to a special edition of The Big Fight. The fact that there is farmers' distress is something that we all know. The fact that this is going to become a major issue in the elections that are about to come up is also a very well-known factor. Now, we've seen the Congress party in particular and Rahul Gandhi stepping forward and saying that farmers' loans waivers is something that will have to be done. And Rahul Gandhi, in fact, going so far as to challenge the Prime Minister to say, we're going to wake you up from your slumber, and you're going to have to do farm loan waivers all across the board. Now, this is something that's been happening for a while, farm loan waivers. 1990s, about 10,000 crores were waived. Then there was another big waiver in the 2000s, about 52,000. Those both were central. Now it's happening at various state levels. 2014, 2016, about 47,000. 2017, 80,500. And now in 2018, about 112,000 crores so far has been waived. Now, on this special panel today, we're going to turn our attention a little bit to farmers' distress, to the agrarian crisis, to what the solutions are. And we're also going to be asking ourselves the question that, are farm loan waivers something that is really required? Are they the best solution, or is there a partial solution? Is there something which is going to help or hurt? And are there other solutions or better solutions available? So we've been able to put together a panel of some of the top experts whom we could find on rural India and agrarian India and the farmers' crisis, and we're going to put this exact question to them. So I'm going to start by welcoming Harish Damodran, who's Rural Affairs and Agriculture Editor at the Indian Express, Kota Nilama is author and researcher and knows as much about the agrarian crisis as anybody else whom I know. Anil Kumar Jha, leader of the BJP, is joining us right here. Professor G.V.R. Shastri, political analyst and economist who's been both at Harvard and Stanford, working on this. Good to have you with us as well. Pushpendra, who's the president of the Kisan Shakti Sangh, will get us some sort of a sense of what the farmers are really feeling. Sunil Jhakar, who's not only a MP from the Congress party, but also the president of the Punjab PCC, and therefore very well attuned to some of the political dynamics that are taking place in this. K.C. Tyagi joining us as well, who's General Secretary of the JDU, and Chandan Mitra, Senior Leader of the TMC. So, as I said, it's a large panel which is going to help us really figure this thing out. Now, I'm going to start off by putting a basic thesis before you, which is to say, let's all agree that there is agrarian distress that is taking place. Sunil Jhakar, why don't I start with you actually, and let me put to you some of the debate that has been swirling around. Yes, there is agrarian distress. Yes, farmers are in crisis. And now we've seen in the 3 states that the Congress party has just come in, farm loan waivers have been done, 50,000 crores, large number in MP, also in Chhattisgarh, in Rajasthan. And we are seeing Rahul Gandhi putting a lot of pressure that this must proceed. The critics are saying that yes, farm loan waivers, that yes, there is agrarian distress, but farm loan waivers are not necessarily the right way to go about it, because it only helps a certain section of farmers who've taken bank loans. It may hit rural credit going forward. How would you respond to those charges?
It's a fact which nobody can deny, that the farmer is dying today. He is forced to commit suicide. Nobody likes to end his life just like that. 46,000 farmers have committed suicide in the last 4 years. Though the government would deny that we don't have the exact data, but these are the figures. A farmer is committing suicide every 45 minutes. By the time our Honorable Prime Minister finishes his Mann Ki Baat speech, in 45 minutes, one farmer dies. Farmer is dying today. He does not want me to pontificate and tell him that there are better ways to help you. He is as like a patient who's on the operating table. He needs a bypass surgery. He needs a help right now. He has to survive. All these things about how we can help him, how we can give him a better income, all these things can wait. But right now, we have to ensure that there is a farmer tomorrow alive and kicking, doing his job. For him is not a profession. For him, farming is a way of life. So let him continue doing that, and all these, everybody, yes, I defer to all the panelists here and all that. We keep hearing about that there are better ways how we can help the farmer. Yes, but right now is a matter of his life and death.
Okay. Anil, let me throw that to you. If I understood Sunil correctly, and he put it very clear, that yes, there may be long-term implications, maybe there are other things that should be done, but given there's an immediate crisis, do this right now. to save the farmers and then keep figuring out long-term solutions?
जाखड़ साहब ने एक बहुत अच्छे आंकड़ा दिया है कि 46,000 फार्मर्स ने लास्ट 4 ईयर के अंदर ऐसा सुसाइड किया है। मुझे लगता है इसके आंकड़े को करेक्ट करने की ज़रूरत है, लेकिन एक आंकड़ा मैं जाखड़ साहब को बताना चाहूँगा। जब इनकी 10 ईयर्स की गवर्नमेंट था सेंट्रल में, 2,74,364 फार्मर्स ने सुसाइड किया था, लेकिन इसके व्यापक संदर्भ में आप देखेंगे पिछले 2 दशकों के अंदर 4 लाख किसानों ने सुसाइड किया है। आखिर इस पूरी व्यवस्था को समझना पड़ेगा कि एक किसान जब दिल्ली में कूच करता है, भोपाल पे कूच करता है, मुंबई में कूच करता है या अन्य राज्यों में कूच करता है, तो उसके पीछे कोई ना कोई ऐसा व्यवस्था है कि हम उनकी मांगों को मानते भी हैं, लेकिन उसके बाद फिर ये सब चीज़ें आ जाती हैं। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हमने जाने अनजाने में किसानों को कहीं ना कहीं फंसा दिया है। हम जितने भी कीटनाशक, यूरिया, इस तरह की जितने भी चीज़ें हमने प्रयोग किए हैं लास्ट के 30 ईयर्स के अंदर, देखते हैं 10 साल के अंदर कोलैप्स हो जाता है वो चीज़ें। 15 ईयर्स के अंदर वो कोलैप्स हो जाती है, फिर नए किसानों के पास नई प्रॉब्लम्स आ जाती हैं, ज़मीनें बंजर हो जाती हैं, सिंचाई की चीज़ें नहीं हैं। लेकिन लास्ट 4 ईयर के अंदर हमारे गवर्नमेंट ने उस पर व्यापक सुधार करने का प्रयास किया है, और हम इस बारे में मैं आपको बिल्कुल कहना चाहता हूँ कि लोन माफ़ी एक लॉन्ग टर्म एक समाधान नहीं है।
पर क्या आप इनसे सहमत हैं कि शॉर्ट टर्म में इसको करना जरूरी है?
देखिए, अब ये कितना, क्योंकि इस देश को व्यापक तरीके से चलाना है, आप एलोपैथिक दवाई एक पेन किलर की तरह देते हैं और उसके बाद फिर वो ज़्यादा बड़ी बीमारी हो जाती है। मुझे लगता है इस पर हमारी सरकार व्यापक संदर्भ पर विचार कर रही है। हाँ, हमने भी लोन माफ़ी किया है, यूपी में भी किया है, लेकिन आपको समझना पड़ेगा 70% खेतीहर मजदूर है जिसके पास बहुत कम ज़मीनें हैं, वो लेबर क्लास ज़्यादा है। उसके साथ साथ हमारी गवर्नमेंट ये देख रही है कि किसानों की उन्नति और उसकी इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन को बेहतर करने के लिए किसान के साथ साथ और भी बहुत सारे सहयोगी काम करने चाहिए।
Okay, I'm going to come, because actually with all this knowledge base that we have standing around here, I'm also going to try and look for some of those longer term solutions that may be better solutions. So let me just restrict myself for the moment to get first take from everyone. What he said, figure out the long-term solutions, but right now there is no choice but to do a loan waiver. Would you agree with that? Just that part of it. There's no choice but to do a loan waiver immediately.
See, let us look at it very practically. Okay. See, this need for loan waiver has come only because of low prices, and low prices happened why? Because of demonetization, and number 2, because of all kinds of export bans and hoarding restrictions and these kind of things, and unnecessary imports. I'll give you the example of pulses. India requires around something like 23 million tons of pulses a year. We are producing 23 million tons, 23 to 24 million tons. In the last 2 years, we have been importing, I think something like 6.5 million tons each year. So that means we are having something like, we have something like extra around 13 million tons in the system. So it is only because of this that this has happened.
That Indian farmers are literally throwing their produce on the road because they can't find anybody to buy it.
Yes.
And we are spending scarce foreign exchange to be importing pulses.
Yes. So this has been entirely man-made, policy-made. So in such a circumstance, definitely, I mean, frankly, I have no moral hazard or those kind of problems with loan waiver. If it is fiscally,
no, there are other problems with loan waiver. I'll come to that. We should debate that, what some of the issues are. But you seem to be saying something very similar to, for example, what Kaushik Basu has said. And let me say, whether you agree with that. Kaushik Basu has said that yes, there is an immediate crisis, perhaps triggered by some of the factors he mentioned, and demonetization perhaps in particular may have led to certain factors that right now there is no other choice.
And I believe that the crisis today is much worse than it was in 2008. 2008, I don't think there was so much of a crisis. And ironically, both the center and states were fiscally in a much better position. Today, farmers are worse off, but the center and states are broke.
And by the way, that's a really crucial question. It's all very well to say, okay, we're announcing farm loan waivers. Where's the money going to come from? Is something which is still remains unseen.
So we should look at it purely from the point of view of fiscal affordability. If it can be afforded, we should go for it.
The states that are announcing it right now aren't necessarily in a position to afford it. It's not very clear where MP is going to get 50,000 crores from, or any of the others, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. What is your take? Is it, so first question, is a loan waiver something that is unavoidable in the short term?
Absolutely, it has to be done. I think there is no political party which is free of guilt of ignoring the farmers. I think that's what we are seeing here, is some political parties are at least trying to wash their guilt off with this loan waiver which has been promised at elections times, which I have also protested before, that why should they be connected to elections at all? They should be, in fact, I would go further and say they should be automatic. There is data available with every district, every tehsil of how difficult it is for each farmer to pay back loans. Why can't there be a mechanism where the loan waiver becomes automatic and for a certain kind of farmers who absolutely need it?
Then hang on. You're saying there should be an automatic loan waiver. Then why not call it a loan? Then it should be a system of grants which can also be put into place.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that's not be done. But a loan waiver by definition has certain issues which are attached to it, which is I've taken a loan. Two people are taking a loan. One person is repaying the loan. The second person is not repaying the loan.
Absolutely.
The person who may have sold land, sold jewelry to repay that loan is therefore, that's where the moral hazard comes in, is penalized, whereas the second person is benefited. So if you're saying it should be an automatic loan waiver, then it should be announced that, look, the state is going to subsidize it. The state is going to pay back half your loan, or free credit to a certain level to small and marginal farmers.
Absolutely.
That's a different way of looking
Absolutely.
at it. Then.
But when you even compare it to the people who are able to pay the loan back, I have a feeling that they are actually cutting down on their quality of life when they are paying it back. So,
But that's even more difficult. But that's why it becomes unfair to them, right? Somebody
That's exactly my point.
Somebody who cuts back their quality of life to say, I will repay the loan, and then sees 5 other people whose loans are being repaid,
Precisely
being
why-
waived, becomes unfair to that
Precisely why agricultural loans have to have a different mechanism. I think there is enough research in this country to show that farmers are unable to pay loans. And believe me, not all loans are formal loans. There are some informal loans. These loan waivers don't even get there.
In fact, I was about to say that, because that, if I can come to you, I'm just looking at the cases. I'm here to play devil's advocate, looking at both sides of the story. So this is some of the arguments that are used to say loan waivers do not necessarily help farmers. So the counter to that theory. So here's what some of the points are made. I'm just going to put some of them out. This is what you've been reading in the press recently. Number one, loan waivers are only helping farmers who've gone to the banks. The informal sector, the worst hit small farmers, by the way, are often sharecroppers. Sharecroppers are not the sort of people who can necessarily go to banks to get loans. They are taking loans from money lenders in the local areas. They are some of the people who are committing suicide. Loan waivers don't help them because the money lenders are not going to be waiving it off. So government may waive the loans, the money lenders will not. And these are the small farmers who are caught in a debt trap forever. So therefore, if you really want to help the most vulnerable, don't waive farm loans. Find a way to make sure that the poorest of the poor, the people who are going to the money lenders, have access to cheap credit or maybe even grants that can help them.
See the dynamics of the entire, let us see the back to square of the economics, you have to go back to the where you are. See, we are at the mixed economy, and there is no point of, at any point of time you can't think for a loan. We are not giving any loan to the, a farmer is not a businessman. He is not a business person. He is a backbone, strategically he is a backbone of this nation. They have forgotten it, the policy, because if you see the second 5-year term plan that Jawaharlal Nehru has admitted in the floor of the house, it was a disaster. So after that, the same disasters we are now entering, again we are facing this, if I technically put it in a right fashion. Demonetization and GST. Demonetization and GST, the government claims that cash and correlation with the corruption. As an economist, I must tell you, there is no coexistence between cash and corruption. Corruption is completely.
Demonetization.
There is no. As far as GST part is concerned, see the economy, if you see the coastal agricultural reforms and the agricultural reforms, and you have to see all the aspects in a 360 degree. It never ever been addressed, whichever government, whichever party, I damn care of it. They never addressed. If I want to see the next 5 generation, I want to see right now the generation, the loan word doesn't exist. There is no need. You have to support. This is the contribution. This is nation's contribution. It is not a waiver. It is the nation. If the loss comes, it goes to the nation. If the profit comes, it goes to the farmer. That is a fundamental principle.
Okay, let me turn to
There
you.
is no ambiguity on it because the farmer is working for. See, you see the food grain, the kind of crisis our country faced in 1961. Massive crisis. He is the farmer who has supported this nation and hold it like a nation. And he is a god. Let me honest with you, Ikram. He is a god. The farmer is the god. let us work on the principle. He is a God. Then you makes the macro and micro
Fine, but then
both
still,
economics in
even
a
if we
such a
take
level.
even if we take that as the principle, the question: what
No,
is the
this
best way to
nation
do
must accept. No, this nation has to accept. No choice for it.
Okay, fine. Let me come to you then.
Because
you heard
70%
some of
of
my
the
argument.
economy.
Okay, let me get somebody else. You heard you heard the issues around, and that's why I'm again saying no one is questioning with the principle that the farmers are in crisis and need to be assisted. The only issue of debate, therefore, is what is the right way to do it. Should it be farm loan waiver? Should it be interest subvention? Should it be grants given to farmers? Should it be a new system of giving credit to the poorest to the poor, which is again more in the nature of a grant than a loan, perhaps automatically written off if they can't repay? That's really what we're debating about. He said as first step there's no choice but to waive the loans. There's another viewpoint which says, yeah, but that may have a problem because you're only helping a certain section of the farmers who've taken loans from banks, not the others. What's your take?
देखिए विक्रम जी, मैं बहुत स्पष्ट कर दूं और आपके माध्यम से आपके जो ऑडियंस है उसको स्पष्ट कर दूं, किसान को लोन वेवर नहीं चाहिए, किसान को अपनी फसल का उपयुक्त दाम चाहिए, सबसे बड़ी बात तो है ये। लेकिन इस देश की जो पॉलिसी है 70 साल से ये रही है कि महंगाई दर को काबू करने के लिए, क्योंकि महंगाई दर में 46% वेटेज जो है वो खाद्य महंगाई दर का, फूड इन्फ्लेशन का है, उसको काबू करने के लिए हम लोग समय समय पर उस प्रोपोर्शन में फसलों की कीमत हमने नहीं बढ़ाई है जितनी बढ़नी चाहिए थी। तो सरकार जो है यदि प्रोपोर्शनेटली हमारी फसलों की कीमत बढ़ाती रहती तो हमारे ऊपर ये लोन का पहाड़ नहीं टूटता। जैसे इन्होंने घोषणा की थी बीजेपी ने 2014 में कि हम जो CACP कमीशन फॉर एग्रीकल्चर कॉस्ट एंड प्राइसेस के अनुसार C2 कॉस्ट आता है, जो कॉम्प्रहेंसिव कॉस्ट है, उसका 50% प्लस करके देंगे, 1.5 टाइम्स ऑफ दैट विल गिव। तो उसका इन्होंने नहीं दिया। उसकी वजह से हर क्रॉप सीजन में 5 साल में 10 क्रॉप सीजन होते हैं, हर क्रॉप सीजन में कम से कम एटलीस्ट 1 लाख करोड़ का नुकसान देश के किसानों का हुआ है और 10 लाख करोड़ का लगभग जो है हमारे ऊपर बोझ चट्टान की तरह हमारी छाती पर है और इतना ही लगभग जो है 11 साढ़े 11 लाख करोड़ का हमारे ऊपर लोन है। तो हम तो लोन माफी मांग ही नहीं रहे। हमारा तो एरियर जो आपने कहा था कि हम C2 प्लस 50% देंगे, आप हमें दे दीजिए, हमारे 10 लाख करोड़ रुपए दे दीजिए जो आपने नहीं दिए, हमारे आपने प्रॉमिस करने के बावजूद नहीं दिए। दूसरा, एक ये जो बार बार एक नैरेटिव बनाया जा रहा है इस देश में कि किसान आता है भीख का कटोरा लेकर के और लोन वेवर, बिल्कुल गलत। आपके यहां पर धान की जो MSP है वो 1750 रुपए प्रति क्विंटल आपने घोषित किया है। आप अगर C2 प्लस 50% करते जो इनका वायदा था तो 2340 2340 रुपीज होता, तो 600 रुपए की डकैती हमारी जेब से आपने डाल ली, आपने नहीं दी या आपने कंज्यूमर को पास। जी,
तो मैं आपसे यही सवाल पूछना चाह रहा हूं। अगर मैं शुरुआत कर रहा हूं लोन वेवर से,
जी,
मान लीजिए आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है,
जी,
तो लोन वेवर का यही असर पड़ सकता है कि 2 किसान हैं, दोनों किसान पर वही बोझ पड़ा जो आपने कहा।
बिल्कुल।
एक किसान ने किसी ना किसी तरह गहने बेचकर, जमीन बेचकर, किसी ना किसी तरह खाना कम खा रहे हैं, वो कर्जा वापसी किया है, दूसरे किसान ने नहीं किया है। अगर आप लोन वेवर करेंगे तो दूसरे किसान को तो फायदा हो जाएगा, पर वो जो पहला किसान है उसका क्या होगा?
देखिए इसमें
तो किसी ना किसी तरह उसका भी फायदा होना चाहिए, क्योंकि उसने लोन भी लिया है, किसी ना किसी तरह उसकी वापसी भी करी है।
जी, देखिए
पर वो
इसमें मैं आपको बता दूं, लोन जो है 11.5 लाख करोड़ का लोन है और इसमें से लगभग 9 साढ़े 9 लाख करोड़ का जो लोन है वो क्रॉप लोन है जो कंटिन्यूअसली रहता ही है, ये CC लिमिट की तरह होता है और टर्म लोन हमारे यहाँ पे 20% के आसपास है, ज्यादा नहीं है। तो जब इसकी माफी होगी, माफी के लिए हम कह रहे हैं कि भाई हमारे 10 लाख करोड़ रुपए जो आपने देने थे, भाई हम आपसे कह दें NDTV वाले 1.5 गुना तनख्वाह देंगे और ना दें 5 साल तक, तो वो जो लॉस हुआ है उसको मैं मांग रहा हूं। मैं तो कह रहा हूं कि C2 प्लस 50% आपने नहीं दिया। आप अपनी जो नीतियां हैं, जो हरीश दामोदरन जी ने भी कहा कि हम यहां दाल का बंपर उत्पादन करते हैं जो हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट से ज्यादा है, 230 लाख टन, 240 लाख टन, उसके बावजूद भी आपने 66 लाख टन जो पिछले साल, 55 लाख टन इस साल मंगा लिया, जिसकी वजह से कर्नाटक से, महाराष्ट्र से लेकर के सारे दाल किसान की कमर टूट गई। आप तमाम पॉलिसीज ऐसी अपनाते हैं। OECD की स्टडी आई थी कि गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसीज की वजह से 2000 से लेकर 2017 के बीच में किसान की आमदनी 14% घटी है। तो हमें तो भैया ये वी वांट दिस मंकी ऑफ आवर बैक। तो हमें नहीं चाहिए ये सरकार की जो तमाम पॉलिसीज हैं, सपोर्ट है। हमको फ्री मार्केट दीजिए, हम एक्सपोर्ट करना चाहें। हमारी ईरान में प्याज अगर 100 रुपए किलो बिकती है तो हमारे पर एक्सपोर्ट प्राइस लगा दिया जाता है।
That's a really interesting question. It's a very, very interesting question that I'm going to throw to the entire panel. All of our policies, the entire way we have conducted agrarian policy to ostensibly help the farmers, has it hurt the farmers more than helped them? That's the point that he's making.
yes.
It's not just now, it's over a longer term period. Okay, I'm going to come to the long term question. KC Tyagi, Chandan Mitra, let me get you into this debate, because obviously it's a big political debate which is going to become bigger. Look, to sort out the crisis, you've been hearing some of the debate right now, and while the logic of agrarian distress and the need to help farmers, as I've been saying all along, is not in question, the mechanism of a loan waiver itself. Because, Chandan Mitra, let me throw that to you. There are other issues that will be attached to just the concept of a loan waiver, which is not just the moral hazard and the other fact. Sometimes you find a solution and it leads to another problem. Could it happen, for example, and this is what the State Bank of India and others are hinting at, if you do loan waivers, banks become more reluctant to lend to farmers. Is that a possibility? And if so, how can that be prevented? And politically speaking, Chandan, do you think there is going to be loan waivers across the board in the build-up in 2019? The 10,000 crores that we were just hearing about from Pushpendra.
Look, Vikram, the first point I would like to flag in your program is that you cannot look at India as a monolithic whole. India has diverse regions, diverse climates, and diverse government policies. I think you should also look at those states where farmers are not so distressed, where farmer suicides are either unheard of, or if at all it happens, it is few and far between. Now, why is it that in those states, and I would cite my home state of West Bengal, where the Trinamool Congress has been in power, as one of those where you don't have distressed farmers in such large numbers. I'm not saying they're not there. They're there, of course, but not in the same kind of quantity as in the many other states. In other words, farmers are broadly satisfied. And one reason is that farmers are getting a just price for their produce. And once you give farmers the right price for their produce, whether it's selling in mandis or whether selling to the government through the MSP system and procurement, I think farmers do tend to be reasonably satisfied, and as long as they can recover their cost of production plus whatever percentage. I know it never reaches 150, but at least 125, 130% of their investment, I think they'll be more or less satisfied and certainly not commit suicide. But to the larger point, I think the country has to budget for a certain amount of subsidy to the farmers, more than loan waivers. I think give them some cash incentive. As one of the former economic advisors said, do DBT and give them some money so that they can pay back their loans and also keep some money for themselves and ensure that they don't starve and they don't allow the people of this country to get burdened.
Okay, now that's what you just said is a really interesting suggestion, and I'm going to throw it open to everybody, because what Chandan just said, direct benefit transfer. Let's just think about that for a minute, because if you look at that same State Bank of India report that we were just seeing, it again said that maybe something like direct income to farmers may be a better idea. I'll tell you one of the reasons why it could be a better idea is if you're giving all farmers or everybody below the poverty line a certain income, it removes the moral hazard question that I was saying. Somebody who's taken that, who somehow or the other been able to repay the loan, that person also gets that income. So in a sense, if he sold the land, repaid the loan, he also gets some benefit, not just the person who hasn't been able to repay it. Both get it. One person can repay the loan, somebody who's already repaid the loan still gets some money. So is that a better way to do it? A direct benefit transfer to farmers across the board? That's maybe something to think about. KC Tyagi, let me get your views on that. Is that a better way to do it? What Chandan was just saying.
मैं विक्रम जी इस बात को लेकर बहुत प्रसन्न हूँ कि किसानों के सवाल जो हैं वो दोबारा फोकस में आए हैं। पहले आत्महत्या के जरिए आते थे, पहले लोन के जरिए आते थे, और अब इधर चुनाव के दौरान किसान राजनीति की मुख्य धारा का बिंदु बने हैं। और कहीं कहीं तो मैंने नारे भी सुने हैं कि जो किसान हित की बात करेगा वो दिल्ली पे राज करेगा। और मैं अपने आप को जेडीयू एक्टिविस्ट के रूप में नहीं, एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट के रूप में अपनी वेदना आपको बताना चाहता हूं किसानों की, ताकि ये कांग्रेस वर्सेस बीजेपी डिबेट का हिस्सा ना बने। किसी भी सरकार के पास ना तो सुनियोजित योजना है और ना कोई इच्छा शक्ति है, और जो बाजार की ताकतें हैं, मार्केट फोर्सेस हैं, उनके प्रोपेगंडे और उनकी साजिशें अलग हैं। आज प्याज 1 रुपये किलो, लहसुन 2 रुपये किलो के हिसाब से मंदसौर से लेकर के और पुणे तक बिक रहा है। WTO की शर्तें अलग हैं कि MSP 10% से ज़्यादा नहीं बढ़नी चाहिए किसानों की। भारत उसका सदस्य है। लॉन वेविंग हो रही है, तमाम अखबारों के एडिटोरियल आगे हैं, कोई अखबार बचा नहीं है जिसने नहीं लिखा। और जो पीले रंग के अखबार हैं इंडस्ट्री वालों के, उन्होंने ज़्यादा लिखा है कि लोन वेव से क्या होगा, किसानों की मुसीबतें और बढ़ेंगी। लोन वेव भी नहीं होना चाहिए। मैं आपकी जानकारी के लिए बताना चाहता हूं, क्योंकि आपके चैनल पे प्रोग्राम चलते रहते हैं, जो डायमंड व्यापारी हैं सूरत से लेकर जगह जगह के, हर बजट में उनकी 15,000 से लेकर के 20,000 करोड़ तक की उनको कस्टम ड्यूटी में रिलैक्सेशन मिलता है। हम तो कभी विरोध नहीं करते। 7वें वित्त आयोग के अंदर 1 लाख कुछ हजार करोड़ रुपए मिले मध्यम वर्ग के लोगों को, हमने तो कभी विरोध नहीं किया। लेकिन जब हमारी MSP बढ़ने की बात आती है तब आप कहते हो इन्फ्लेशन हो जाएगा और बड़े बड़े एडिटोरियल आ जाएंगे। एक तो MSP को भी अब हमें नहीं चाहिए, आप हमें पैरिटी प्राइस दे दीजिए। 1971 को, 81 को, 1991 को आप एक स्टैंडर्ड ईयर मान लीजिए। किसानों के फसलों के खास तौर से जो 20-22 फसलें जिनकी MSP है, उनका 1971 में क्या दाम था, और सोने का, चांदी का, लोहे का, स्टील का, आपके खाद के डब्बे का, आपके और जितनी भी उद्योग की चीजें हैं, फर्टिलाइजर का, इन सीमेंट का, इनके क्या दाम थे, उसको आप प्रोपोर्शनेट कर लीजिए। आखिर किसान के लिए कभी तो कोई नीति बनेगी। और जो मैं माफ करना, मैं कोई सरकारों में कैद होकर नहीं रहना चाहता। ये कैंसर हो चुका है और कैंसर के मरीज को कभी कभी सरदर्द भी हो जाता है, तो आप जो है पैरासीटामोल दे रहे हैं उसको, और उसको है कैंसर की बीमारी, उसको तो मेजर ऑपरेशन की जरूरत है। गांव के लोगों को शहर के लोगों के मुकाबले देयर इज अर्बन रूरल रिफ्ट आल्सो। हमें दूध कम मिलता, पैदा हम करते हैं। हमें गेहूं कम मिलता, पैदा हम करते हैं। हमें पढ़ाई पे खर्चा हमारा कम होता है, शहर के लोगों का ज्यादा होता है। हमें जो जरूरत है दवाइयों की और चीजों की, वो हमें कम मिलती है। तो अर्बन रूरल रिफ्ट भी है, एक कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन सोसाइटी का ये भी है, इकोनॉमी का ये भी है। इसलिए
आप रूलिंग एनडीए में शामिल हैं, तो आप ये सारी मांगे आपने जरूर सरकार से डिस्कस किया होगा। MSP के बारे में कुछ किया जाए, बेसिक इनकम के बारे में कुछ किया जाए, ये आपने सवाल क्यों नहीं उठाए हैं?
मैंने विक्रम जी,
और बिहार में क्यों नहीं किया है?
पहले आपसे कह दिया कि मैं बिहार का जो आप सवाल पूछ रहे हैं वो भी मैं करूंगा। मध्य प्रदेश और आपका छत्तीसगढ़ और बिहार, ये 3 सरकारें थी जब सब जगह बोनस के 300 रुपए 200 रुपए समाप्त कर दिए गए थे, तब भी ये राज दे रही थी, तब ये सरकारें दे रही थी। लेकिन फिर मैं JDU या BJP या कांग्रेस की बहस में नहीं जाना चाहता।